Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My life, like so many can relate, has not been easy. As a child, we moved around a lot after my parents separated. When I got to high school, I tried hard to get good grades and make my parents proud. I wanted more than anything to prove that I would succeed. My mother expected me to fail, and she didn't trust me. She hurt me when she didn't believe me when I would tell her that my stepfather would abuse me. It hurt when she didn't believe me when I had pneumonia, but she was convinced that I was pregnant. It hurt that she didn't give me the love and support that I was searching for. I knew it would hurt more to stay than it would to leave. I left school, and my older sister and I moved out. Soon after, I ended up pregnant, and this time, and at the time, I knew my boyfriend Michael was not ready to be a father. So I told him it was over. I had complications in the beginning of my pregnancy and ended up going back to my mom. I immediately regretted staying. She saw me as a failure, but it was my only choice. Over time, things got hard. My mom got sick and needed to see a specialist. I adjusted my work schedule to get her to appointments. I was still trying to prove that I was a good daughter. Between having to take care of my mom and my daughter, I missed so much work that I lost my job. My mom moved to Florida, and I couldn't keep up with the rent, so I moved in with my dad. The short time spent with my dad was good. My daughter got to meet and bond with her grandfather, and I got to hear stories from when I was little and when my dad was in the army. I started seeing Michael again, and I became pregnant with my second daughter, Alexandria. We got married and had to move into a shelter. I felt like we were never going to get out. I was depressed, and it would only get worse. We left the shelter and moved around a few more times, had our third daughter, Nilda, and ended up back in the shelter system. Staying in the shelter was physically and emotionally hard for all of us. The conditions were not only bad, they were dangerous. It was cramped, there were rats climbing the stairs, and my daughter was electrocuted by a faulty outlet. It was during this time that we found out our daughter Alexandria was autistic. Depression hit again, and I felt like a failure. I remember asking myself, what mother would let it happen? What did I do wrong? Once she had an anxiety attack on the train, and a passenger questioned why I would even have her. It was very hurtful, but it taught me to stand up for my daughter and become a mama bear. Finally, we got our voucher and we moved into our first apartment. We got our daughter's services in place and in a supportive school. My dreams were finally coming true. We had created a stable home for our little family. But then we began having issues with our landlord. I once had to call the cops because he assaulted my husband. I was scared to stay home alone. And for months, I had really bad anxiety and I couldn't eat. I contacted my housing caseworker because I knew we had to get out of this apartment. She didn't have another apartment for us at the time, but she spoke to me about a program called First Step. She sensed my hesitation. I didn't know how I was going to balance everything, especially during a pandemic. She told me that I should at least do the intake before making my decision. I called for an intake and I waited. When I got my call back, I began to feel happy, excited, and very interested. All I wanted was to show my daughters that no matter what happened in their lives, they would always be able to turn things around. In the beginning, I had issues trying to balance my housing problems, the program, and helping my children with their schoolwork. but I knew this was something I really wanted to do. First steps helped me to see all the strength that I had in me. Janaea, Liz, Kate, and Jackie, and all of the other ladies at the First Step program pushed and inspired me to be who I was meant to be. Powerful, strong, and hardworking. My anxiety wasn't as bad. I liked the communication workshops best because they showed me that I knew what to do in a workplace. And now I have the confidence to do it. After I graduated First Step, just as things were starting to look up, we found out that the building next door had the potential to collapse and take our building with it. We had to vacate. We didn't know where we were gonna go, and we were afraid of losing our housing voucher. We called so many different places to see what we could do. Panic and depression hit. We stayed at a Red Cross shelter, then with a family member, then bounced around Airbnbs. As we were making plans to return to the shelter, we finally got an apartment. During this time, I had received a call from Kate Starr about an internship as the computer assistant at First Step. I was so happy, and I couldn't believe that they called me. Through all of the moving, I was able to complete my internship. When the internship ended, I stayed in touch with First Step, and in May, I got another call regarding an internship for a tech company called Upfluence. When Alan Mraz at Upfluence contacted me to set up the interview, I was beyond ecstatic and nervous. To give you an idea of how nervous I was, I bought a nice dress pants and a suit jacket for the interview, only to realize 15 minutes before that it was not via Zoom, but over the phone. I learned a lot during my internship, and this past September, I was offered a full-time position as the People Operations Associate at Upfluence. I help manage payroll, onboarding and offboarding, employment contracts in English and French, and so much more. To say First Step gave me my first start is an understatement. First Step gave me opportunities, a new look on life, and a strength that no one will be able to break. It gave me hope and understanding that rainy days come, but they never last. I would like to thank my daughters for always keeping me grounded when I wanted to give up. My husband, Michael, for sticking with me these 10 crazy years. And to my dad, who has been so supportive. To the amazing ladies that keep First Step running smoothly. Thank you from all the First Steppers before me and the many that will come after. Lastly, I would like to especially thank Alan Mraz, who has been so patient with me and trained me in everything he has so far. To my Upfluence team, Ayaz Baron, Kevin Carusi, and Vivian Garnes, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to continue to work in such an amazing company. In closing, I would like to say one last thing. I am a success, and I am First Step. Now, I am honored to present the Corporate Partnership Award to Upfluence. For 4 years, Upfluence has been providing internships and jobs to so many First Step graduates like me. They provide training opportunities, a sense of community even during a pandemic, and a chance to work with people in different countries. Here to accept the award is Senior Vice President of Sales, Paul Kahn.